Hey guys, welcome back to RPO Restorations. Today we're going to be talking about the last V8 engines Pontiac ever produced. This was an engine family that was manufactured for only a few short years, from 1977 until 1981. This engine family deviated from the traditional Pontiac practice of maintaining the same external dimensions and connecting rod length of 6.625 inches in their V8 engines. One of these engines was even available with a factory turbocharger. Today, we'll be talking about the short deck Pontiac 301 and 265. With the Pontiac 350 scheduled to cease production after the 1977 model year and the Pontiac 400 being phased out starting in 1978, Pontiac needed an 8-cylinder engine to power its vehicle lineup. During this era of increasingly stringent CAFE requirements, automakers were beginning to favor smaller engines of 5 liters or less to comply with ever more stringent fuel economy standards. Thus, in 1977, the Pontiac 301 was born. The Pontiac 301 had a 4-inch bore and a 3-inch stroke. Surprisingly, its design was based on the short deck 303, which Pontiac had developed for the 1970 racing season. It also featured thinner walls than its more traditional V8 engines and contained only 2 counterweights on the crankshaft as a weight-saving measure. It debuted with a 2-barrel carburetor making 135 horsepower and about 200 foot-pounds of torque. Starting in 1978, one could order a Pontiac 301 with a 4-barrel carburetor, bumping the horsepower up to 150. After the 1979 model year, the 2-barrel version was discontinued. In 1981, all American cars were equipped with an electronically controlled quadrajet carburetor, and horsepower was increased to 170. This, however, turned out to be the last year for the Pontiac 301, as it was discontinued after the 1981 model year. GM favored Pontiac switching over to corporate GM engines produced by Chevrolet and Oldsmobile. Before it was discontinued, however, Pontiac let its engineers see how far they could take it. They attached a turbocharger to it for use in the Pontiac Firebird, creating the 4.9 turbo offered in 1980 and 1981. The 301 Turbo, or 4.9 Turbo, as Pontiac called it, debuted in the Firebird for the 1980 model year. It was rated at 210 horsepower and 345 foot-pounds of torque. It had a stronger block than the standard 301, a slightly longer duration camshaft, a 60 psi oil pump, a fully baffled oil pan, an 800 CFM quadrajet carburetor, and was equipped with a Garrett TBO 305 turbocharger. The carburetor also had the super rich DX secondary mirroring rods to ensure adequate fuel supply at full boost. In 1981, the engine was updated with an electronic quadrajet carburetor. Boost in both years was limited to 9 psi. One of the interesting features of these cars was the hood-mounted boost gauge Pontiac included, allowing the driver to see how much boost was being applied via several lights which sequentially lit up while the driver was accelerating. This engine was discontinued after the 1981 model year. The last short deck Pontiac V8 was the 265 cubic inch LS5. It featured a small bore of just 3 3/4 inches with a 3-inch stroke. It was only offered with a 2-barrel carburetor and was rated at 120 horsepower. It was an available option on all of Pontiac's lineup for the 1980 and 1981 model years. It was, however, discontinued after just 2 short years, as I suspect Pontiac soon realized that small V8s under 300 cubic inches just weren't worth it. I hope you enjoyed this video about the forgotten Pontiac V8 engines of the early 80s. Don't forget to tap the subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one.